Hello and welcome to First Geek 411. I'm your host, Cameron Franklin, and with me, as always, my best man, Chris Nicolay. Chris, how are you doing today?
I think we nailed it this week, guys. I think we nailed it. Assuming you can hear me, and I really hope you can.
And joining us from, I guess, not so snowy yet Colorado, Emma. Emma, how are you doing
Thankfully.
today? Yeah, be a very
Um,
weird end of
that would
August.
be a very weird August. I'm glad there's no snow.
It sounds like we have audio for everyone. Yay!
Wow.
That
That
means
may
you
or
can.
may not be a first.
Yes.
We're
Oh
learning.
man.
We're learning.
And since we have audio, that means you can hear us chat about um, kind of a very tragic event that shook geekdom this past week. Then we'll get into a bit of lighter side of news with things like Fall Guys and Gamescom. And then we got TikTok news. You got to have TikTok news.
Mm.
Got to stay relevant with those Gen Zs.
Although we're not on there, so
You know,
so we're trying
And
to stay
then-
relevant, but we just talk about it. We don't get on there.
hey, do what you got to do. And then we'll have a little bit of tangible discussion this week with a little bit of magic and then a little bit of D&D. And then at the end of the show, we'll talk about our top 3 cars. And I'm realizing I forgot to put next week's top 3 in the show notes. So I'm going to do that while we get into, I guess, what we've been playing, reading, watching, listening to. And I'm going to do our social media now because I forgot to do that a second ago. So you can find us at OneGeek411 on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and our PlayStation community. If you would like to chat with us in between shows, you can also find us on our Discord server. And then you can shoot us an email at 1stgeek411@gmail.com. And then go to our website, which is OneGeek411, and find our show notes as well as our sister cast. And then you can watch live on Twitch every Monday night at 7:15 Mountain Time and find the videos later on our YouTube. So let's hop into what we've been up to this past week. Emma, why don't you start us off?
I finally finished playing The Last of Us Part 2. Finally.
Woo!
After months on end. Yeah. It was
It's only
great.
been like 2 months,
Still, but I'm
right?
behind the wave of all the serious fans who actually played part 1, which I picked up today and played the
Yes.
first half an hour, 40 minutes of. But I have lots of thoughts and opinions, but I know we want to do a spoiler cast, so I'm going to hold off on those until such a time that we get there. But it was a great game. I thought it was great. And then I spent some more time drawing on my walls because I can, working on my Calvin and Hobbes mural thing that I've been adding. So, yeah.
I like it.
Mhm.
And I think on that, we're going to have, I don't know if it'll be like a full like spoiler cast, but we are planning to chat The Last of Us Part 2 in our post show.
Great.
So, like I said, I don't think it'll be like a full on spoiler cast, but I kind
However
of
we want to work it.
Yeah.
I have
So-
thoughts and opinions.
Yes. And I'm excited to hear. And so, Chris, what have you been up to this past week?
So I watched the new season of Agretsuko the night it came out, all of it.
Proud of you.
It was great. So good. It's a wonderful. It's actually a really great season. I definitely recommend it. A lot of good character development in this season. I also watched all of Cobra Kai since it launched on Netflix. So no longer have to pay for YouTube Premium or
Right.
YouTube Red at the time to watch it. I have very mixed feelings about this show. It so often just like, hey, look at this, and then never mind. I'm like, but I like the way they do overlay a lot of like the old movie footage over it, and kind of really presents a story from both sides. I like essentially you have two protagonists, and it's great, or like that are, but the protagonists are feuding, in a sense. There's a lot of characters I hate, just like you're dumb. Then I also started watching the new Legends of Monkey, which is also a Netflix series revolving around the Monkey King lore. and like every episode's the same. The group gets caught, they find a way to escape. The group
It's
gets
like
caught.
Monster of the Week.
No, but it's not. It's all the same plot. Like they're gradually progressing on their journey, but at the same time, every episode they get caught, and they have to escape.
So it's the same plot.
So it's like Phineas and Ferb.
Every episode's the same plot, but it's weird.
So like every episode where Perry gets captured by Doofenshmirtz.
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
Pretty much.
Yep. Except for it's the Monkey King and the scholar, or the fake scholar, I guess. I don't know. For those that don't know, the Monkey King lore is weird. And this definitely isn't as true to the actual lore of the Monkey King, but I don't know. I'm obviously entertained enough to keep watching. So, I mean, that says something about it, I guess, kind of. I don't know. I'd rather watch Cursed again, though. That was a fun one. So I've done that, and this, and this last weekend I also drove over to Bozeman, which isn't too far from Helena, to spend the weekend, and we scooted around downtown because that's the scoots.
Scoots.
That's all it was. It was scooter squad time. Talking about getting jackets. We talked about getting a mini scooter tattoo. And I don't know. Maybe some friends and I might be venturing into manufacturing electric scooters.
Oh,
That's a venture.
yes.
Like high-powered electric scooters, like 35, 40 mile per hour scooters.
This sounds somewhat dangerous.
Yes.
Like when we
have
were,
my attention.
there's some out there that are really powerful, and they do like 45, 50, 55, 60 miles an hour. This is a stand-up scooter. And yes, that sounds ridiculous and scary. So we're like,
super dangerous.
let's push the limit. We'll go 35, 40, for my friends that are adventure seekers, but I really care. I mean, in general, you're going about 10, 15 on the ones you can rent. And yeah, they're just, I wish, so Bozeman actually, they actually wrote their own stuff, instead of like picking a company like Lime, like we did in Dallas. We did the Lime scooters. They actually started their own because, they didn't want some of the issues associated with Lime for the city. Like, leaving Lime scooters wherever you can, people hoarding them and charging rental for you to go use the Lime scooter, so you're double paying, or anything like that. They actually, so for you to stop your ride, you have to be in a designated parking area, which is really cool, kind of. I don't know. But yeah,
Smart.
It was fun. So we spent the weekend scooting around Bozeman, and yeah, came back, and that's been my week. It's been great.
Yeah. Nice. For me, we had some stuff, kind of just random stuff going on this weekend, and then we swung by our local friendly game store and picked up Azul Crystal Mosaic, which is an expansion for Azul. Highly recommend. It comes with a new like double-faced board, which very much like changes up the strategy based on like how it rewards you with where it gives you bonus points, what it requires you to do. Azul's a great game, highly recommend, and the expansion's really good too. It's one that we tend to play because it's a very good teach with people that might not be super familiar with like hobby board games, and so it's a lot of fun. And so we've probably played, I don't know, Deanna and I have probably played it close to like 20, 25 times.
I've never heard of it.
Oh, it's so good. I'll send you pictures.
Great. I'll take them.
And then in light of Friday's news of Chadwick Boseman passing away, I watched Black Panther today, and like kind of got emotional during the scene where he's fighting like Killmonger, like on the waterfall. And like I had like skip a little bit ahead. I was like, I'm not really like feeling that scene right now. But love the movie. It's such a good film.
As I said before, you brought that on yourself.
Yeah.
I intentionally avoided trying to watch Black Panther because I knew I'd probably be in the same boat.
Yeah. And so I want to check out some of his other ones. I know there's a few on Netflix that I want to watch. because I haven't seen a lot of his non-MC, like of Chadwick's non-MCU roles,
Neither have I,
and so
but they look good.
yeah.
So
But yeah, that's kind of the big things. Kind of playing Magic, playing Fall Guys, back on that The Last of Us 2 platinum grind, and then yeah, kind of just trying to get through the week this week because I'm taking Wednesday through Friday off and plan to be streaming a lot of Fall Guys, and so that'll be here on First Geek 411.
So you're taking a nice 6-day week?
Yes, I'm hyped. And so
I canceled all of my time off because I was supposed to be gone in Seattle this weekend.
Yeah.
But
COVID, man.
yeah,
but no conventions.
Yeah.
So I canceled most of my time off. I might still take Friday off though. I haven't decided.
that's kind of like the weird thing for me because since there are no cons, basically all of my time off has been condensed in like the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And you have to take yours off.
And
Otherwise
yes,
you
and I
lose it.
have to take mine.
Whereas mine
And
can get banked up to a certain point. So
right.
Yeah.
So like I will have been off 8 work days out of the past 3 weeks.
Wow.
So out of the past 15, I will have taken 8 days off.
okay,
and
I'm gonna say
hyped.
pause for edit here. Resume. I don't remember where we were.
Jumping back in, we're head into our news segments, starting as always with video games. This past week, we got news that Fall Guys is the most downloaded PlayStation Plus game and has sold 7 million units on Steam.
What
Not on
game
Switch.
did it surpass for the PS Plus download? I meant to look that up, but
Rocket League.
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
That would make sense.
Actually, I just made that up. I was making
I
a
don't know.
guess.
I mean, that
I
would
mean,
still make sense, honestly.
It did pass Rocket League. It's just a matter of it was Rocket League the previous most downloaded. Because Rocket League, like Fall Guys and Rocket League both did the same thing where they launched for free on PlayStation Plus. And
Mhm.
so it did pass that. It passed the OG, The Last of Us.
hmm
A lot of sports games have been on there, but I'm not sure how well those actually do. But
I mean, I feel like sports
Okay.
games cater to a very specific person,
right.
just in general, which I am not that specific person. If
Yeah.
I want to play sports, I'm going to go out and play sports myself rather than via video game.
As everyone
But
that's been
just
following us for a
me.
while knows, I'm a big sports game buff.
Yeah, Chris loves
I
every
love
sports.
me every sports game.
He loves a goal
Good.
unit basket.
That is up to you.
I like to put balls into baskets and nets out through the field goals, goalposts.
You hit the tennis ball into the basketball hoop, and then you earn a touchdown. Because that's how sports work, right?
But yeah, so like that's really exciting. Fall Guys is great. I'm still on that quest for my first win. I've been so close so many times.
And you're playing on PlayStation?
Yeah, I've had so many times, which have been inches away, and I've come up short
I
Hopefully,
almost
though-
bought it on Steam,
on stream.
but
Wouldn't know. Haven't played it.
Oh, Emma.
do you have
All the
PlayStation
fun.
Plus, Emma?
No, because it's what, like $15 a month or whatever?
No.
I think it's like 60 a year.
I mean,
I don't
like
know.
on average, I spend $34 a year.
Either way.
Then again,
I
like-
had it for a couple of months, and then I was like, given the amount of time I'm actually using this like benefit, I'm not gonna like spend the money on it. So
I know, like that was my like every year.
I know what I'm getting Emma for Christmas.
Yeah, every year PlayStation
take
does
it.
like a your year in PlayStation Plus, and they kind of run through like you downloaded this many of the free games.
You
this.
downloaded all of the
You-
free games, but didn't
and
play
then it-
one.
And then like it does like how much time you played online. And in 2019, I played 3 hours of online, And I
Yeah.
think it was an accident because it was something like, I think an hour or so was Chris and I playing No Man's Sky together.
Yep.
And then the rest of the time was when someone accident or like randomly joined my game.
It's also very
Oops.
possible
No
all
Man's
3
Sky.
hours of that was us just playing
Yeah.
No Man's Sky together.
But this year, it's Fall Guys and The Division 2 that are mine.
We should probably jump back into
Yeah.
some No Man's Sky too here and there.
I
some
thought
new
about
updates.
getting that, but then there were so many negative reviews on it that I just did not spend the money on it.
The reason
So-
you have to realize a lot of the reviews were from post updates, so like launch reviews.
Pre-updates.
Pre-updates. No Man's Sky itself has been updated a lot. Also, the fact that you can get the game for like $10 because you're on PlayStation versus like when they launched it on the Xbox and it was a full price game. Cracks me
So
up. Because-
$60.
Right, it's a $10 game and it's phenomenal if you're on PlayStation.
Yeah. Yeah, the one game like that I've spent a lot of time on is Subnautica, just because it's a fabulous game, and as someone from like a coastal state, I have never understood people's fears of the ocean. But then I played Subnautica, and I was finally like, I actually understand why some people are terrified of swimming in the ocean. And it's because you're stranded on this just completely foreign planet, and it's all ocean, and you have ginormous creatures. And I was just like, I don't like the sound design because it's so good that you don't know what the heck that is, or how close it is, or how big it is. Surprise,
And
it's bigger than
mermaids.
and mermaids. So yeah, and that's just a great game. So I'm biased. So
Yeah, I mean, like so many good like indie games make it onto PlayStation Plus. So like, I know Journey was on there at one point, which is a lot of fun, like a phenomenal, just indie exploration type of game. So I definitely recommend getting PlayStation Plus, just because I think even if you don't use it a ton, it's worth what you get out of it. At least in general, because sometimes you also
So-
get major games in it.
and the one question I have had with how that system works is, if there's a game for like a certain month, like Fall Guys, and you download it, do you get to play it after that month is done?
Yes, as long as you have a PlayStation Plus membership,
So as long as you maintain that membership
you
And
own
you
the
ha-
game.
and you like download the game or whatever in that month,
You don't
own
even
it.
have to download it. You just have to add it to your library.
Okay. Because that was something that I didn't like fully understand. It wasn't totally explained, or at least something that I totally understood about how the system worked. But
Right.
It was just like-
it's-
for the chunk of time that I had the membership, I maybe only had 2 games that I downloaded, and so just in the correlation connection to length of time and number of games I had added, it just wasn't a financially reasonable thing to keep having.
And-
So
It's definitely also like a numbers game, because like depending on which month you get like that you have it, there
Mhm.
might not be something worth it. So like if you were going month by month, like you can definitely hit those streaks where like, 'cause I think next month it's like Street Fighter 5 and something else. I don't remember if it's a sports game or something else, but like if you can get into those months where it's just like, I'm interested in neither of these,
yeah,
and well, like I might add them to my library, but I'm probably never going to download them. But then you'll get other months where it's like the Nathan Drake collection, or Uncharted
Which is-
4. Yeah,
I love those games.
right.
like
So
I love a lot of the Naughty Dog games that they've come out with. I mean,
So, I mean,
Last
in
of
general,
Us.
which is why I recommend, like, when you see the deals like on a yearly subscription for 35 to $40. Well, there's a reason why I have 5 years worth saved up of
Yeah.
PlayStation Plus prescriptions, and that's because I buy them when they're on sale. So I'm pretty sure my current PlayStation Plus expires in 2025.
proud of you.
like,
Good job.
like I just added a new code. I'm like, okay, like I know I still have 5 years of this, but it's on sale.
That's
And
how they
also
get you.
that means I never have to pay for the increase until like 5 years later
Yeah.
when they raise the prices. But yeah, PlayStation Plus, highly recommended. We used to do like every month we'd go over what's new. I can't speak to really what Microsoft system is, but if you play on PC, I mean, Humble Bundles are great too.
Yep.
Like if you need a bunch of games. Granted, Steam sales are also very, very scary.
Yeah.
Like I logged into my Steam for the first time ever, and I saw all the games. I was like, I own all these. I played like 2 of them.
Yeah.
I guess with that, let's transition from PlayStation Plus talk to Gamescom talk. Did y'all watch any of Gamescom
No,
before I get into this? Okay.
never heard of it.
So I want to pitch something to you that literally happened at Gamescom, and this happened to be when I tuned in.
I'm ready.
Okay. Have y'all seen Back to the Future?
Yes.
How hyped would you be if Doc Brown showed up to Gamescom?
Neutral?
Be more confused.
Okay. So neutral, confused. Okay. What if they went all in on Back to the Future stuff through visuals and design stuff?
You'd
Effects,
assume
all
there's a
that.
Back to the Future game.
It's contextual question.
Uh-huh.
What is Gamescom?
Oh, great question. Gamescom is, in other years, is basically European E3.
Okay.
Great question.
That sets
Yes.
the mental stage for me, so I know what
Yes,
I'm
sorry about that.
envisioning. So I like.
Yeah, very good point.
Okay, so Doc Brown shows up,
Doc Brown
and they go all out with
playing
light
the theme.
shows.
You got the
and-
fire road. It's an effect, but like they got like the tire tracks where it like
Great.
time travels, and
I'm here
he's
for it.
hyping up a game. Okay,
Okay.
and I want you to get hyped. Okay, he's talking about time travel,
Okay.
talking about fixing the future, and it's Surgeon Simulator 2 and not something Back to the Future related.
I'm sorry. What?
Yep, that is the accurate response. That is how you should respond to that. Yes.
What?
Yeah, I happened to tune in for that and was extremely confused and proceeded to stop watching Gamescom.
I mean, you gotta give them an A for effort and genius marketing ploy. Just,
We're talking about it. I get like,
I mean, yeah, people are
going
gonna talk about it. But however that connection happened in whatever meeting that was, I would like to be there for that meeting that happened.
Yeah, I'm really confused to how they got it pitched. Like whose idea was it to get Doc Brown? Because it is the character Doc Brown. Like it's not the actor who played Doc Brown. It is Doc Brown, and it's just like, what are you doing?
You said this was for what? And it ended up being for what?
Surgeon Simulator 2.
Which is, that's mind-boggling.
Yeah. Which does admittedly look fun, but like, yeah. So that was my introduction to Gamescom this year. There were some actual like pretty cool announcements. We got a teaser for Dragon Age 4,
So early.
which it's
like-
a teaser for a game that was announced a year and a half ago.
Oof.
You know. But they had some cool voice acting stuff. There's things. So I'm excited for that. I'll be getting Dragon Age 4 whenever it comes out. And then we
Right.
also got a sneak peek for Fall Guys Season 2, and it's medieval themed, and
Ooh.
there's a dragon outfit.
Ooh.
I need it because I'm still rocking the Triceratops, which is the best look.
Okay, now I'm sold. Like right there. Like, okay, you hit my niche. I'm downloading.
Yeah.
Done. I'm even gonna buy it on Steam, download it
Check.
on the PC,
Get it both on both.
so I can never play it.
But that way you cannot play it in 2 places.
Right. Like, I mean, like, I didn't watch any part of it. I did kind of pick up on the news as things were coming out. I mean, we got a new World of Warcraft DLC or expansion coming October 27th, the Shadowlands. This game just astounds me.
Keeps going.
It keeps going and going and going, and then they're
just-
like, hey, we're gonna release World of Warcraft Classic so you can play the original from 1998 or whatever it was.
Wow.
It
I
was
want
like
to point out
2006 or
2004.
whatever. 2004.
So yeah, that means that it was released November 23rd, 2004, which means this year World of Warcraft could drive.
itself. Yeah. And
Yeah.
and it just keeps going. And people, what's
It's-
crazy is
yeah.
people went and bought World of Warcraft Classic, and the thing about that game is it's the original graphics.
Yeah.
Um,
All the pixelated nonsense.
right. Yeah, and there's some other cool things. We got Star Wars Squadrons, still by
Mhm.
EA, so obviously skeptical. But I mean, there's some cool things to watch out for this. There's some cool indie things happening that happened at the con. So I definitely go recommend checking it out, but probably avoid the Surgeon Simulator 2 portion, I guess.
Yeah. It is one of those that, like, I tried to tune in and watch some of it, but it was so long every day of coverage, and so much of it was stuff that I was just like, this just isn't what I'm feeling. And so, whereas
Yeah.
like E3, it's like I'm watching every press conference, I'm watching all
Well, maybe
that.
not so
All
much
of
coming
it.
in the future,
Yeah.
because I mean E3's changing a lot,
Mm-hmm.
but also this year just obviously that was not a good time for E3.
Right.
No.
But we still plan on going at some point because they did open up to a public a couple years ago.
Gotta
and
believe.
Just got to get those tickets. And we're pressed, technically, kind of, hopefully, one day. I don't know.
One day.
Hit that
We'll get there.
subscribe button when it's there, I hope, eventually. One
But
day.
that follow button's there now.
The follow
Yeah.
button's there now. That's very true. And that's wherever you listen to us.
But yeah, so that's Gamescom. So there's more news there, but a lot of it kind of just it's trailers for stuff that was already announced and stuff like that. So, but with that, let's go into movies, TV, and entertainment. As mentioned at the top of the show, we got a surprise announcement Friday that Chadwick Boseman passed away at the age of 43 from colon cancer, which he has been fighting since 2016. Which means basically his whole career after Civil War
Yeah.
has been while also fighting colon cancer. So, yeah, shout out to him. Like it's so crazy to like go back, and a lot of people have been like reading back through interviews that he's done and kind of seeing like the hints that he dropped that he was going through something and just no one knew.
Right.
Well, because when you have someone who's 43, you don't really expect them to be in that kind of position. I mean, it happens all the time, as we've seen, but they often keep it so sort of private when they're in the spotlight, like Chadwick Boseman was, that like he's just going to keep on trucking through it, which I think is super.
What I really want to know is, because he was struggling with this, is if the studios knew and planned for it just in case.
So the director of Black Panther, whose name I can't remember right now, put out a statement that said he was shocked when he found out, to the point that he has been writing Black Panther 2 expecting Chadwick to be in the movie. So people may have known, I've heard people say, based on specific wording in that it's possible that the director knew there was some sort of health thing going on,
Mm-hmm.
but did not know the extent to what it was, or did not know it was still going on. Like, it'd be reasonable that he could have known that, like, Chadwick couldn't film a certain day because he had to go see a doctor. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But like,
Right.
that was 2016. He didn't know, like, that was a long time. He might not have known it was still something that was going on. But it seems like there was not a
plan.
there was not knowledge on at least that front. But
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of like articles and discussion posts talking about how instead of replacing him as the actor for Black Panther, having
CG him in.
no, please don't do
no,
that.
No. Okay. My bad.
First of all, having his sister in whoever the sister is, whose name I forget,
Suri.
the sister of Black Panther, take over the role of like queen, if you will, and sort of carry on that legacy, instead of just replacing the actor and carrying on
No, yeah,
as
like
though it's the same character,
you can't.
but having his sister take over and just
Right.
in a way of honoring Chadwick Boseman and like respecting the work that he did in that role as a Black African American male, and bringing inspiration to like kids.
In general, with the way the MCU is, I don't think you could ever replace a primary character actor. Like it's just not doable. There's a few people that we like. Obviously, we've had a few actor swaps for supporting characters, and I mean it's very noticeable. But I would never support doing that for a
I mean,
titled movie.
The closest that we've had is the switch from Edward Norton to Mark Ruffalo for Hulk. But even then,
that was also early on enough in
exactly
the MCU that like the Hulk movie, I hadn't seen it until like I think right before an Endgame, I think, because I wanted to see it just for that context, but it was just one that was like it's not that valuable to the rest of the.
Well, in general, like it's technically the first movie of the MCU, but it wasn't the first movie of the MCU. Does that make sense? Like it was like when they decided to move forward with the planning of the MCU, they opted to include the Hulk, not they wrote the Hulk and developed it as the start to the MCU. So that change is it was one, like they included it because they wanted that plot line to be technical lore, but it was an afterthought more than moving forward. And like most people didn't see the Hulk movie anyway. It was too close to the previous Hulk movie at the time. And so moving forward, like that was probably what, as Cameron was saying, that's the biggest notable change, but it wasn't noticeable because the Hulk, for the most part, was a sub character in the other movies, and granted he has a great spot, but he's not the primary focus or the namesake movie, which we need another one of.
I agree.
But like for the Black Panther, that's an iconic role, and I'd rather see them transition and develop the story to honor his passing and pass the torch.
Yeah,
like I'm very pro passing torches. Like pass that torch,
please.
And then kind of at like, I guess like outside of specifically the world of geekdom, encourage people to definitely go take a look at all the tributes that have gone out to him over the past week. Like I think it was the Brooklyn Dodgers did something for him because he played Jackie Robinson in a movie. And then a lot of celebrities are speaking out too, and a lot of his fellow MCU actors. And so kind of just as a general encouragement, I definitely like it's great to go and read those things and see how people like felt about him. Because I feel like whenever like there's like a celebrity death, it's always weird for us as fans, because like we feel close to the person, but we also know them as those roles.
Yeah.
And I think
someone we've never actually met or had some sort of friendship with in real life.
Right. And I think it's always so interesting, at least for me, to go and look at why, or like look at what people were saying about on set. Look at all those, like how did his directors feel? Like one of the things that was really cool about the Black Panther director, who again, sorry, I can't remember the name, was saying that Chadwick actually would come to castings for like minor characters so that he could actually act with the person, which is not something apparently that like main actors ever do.
Interesting.
Unless they're like specifically requested. But he would like volunteer to go so he could spend time with people. And like, I just think that that's so cool. Like that's so outside of how you normally see or normally like perceive celebrities. And I just think that's such a cool like way to give back.
Can you imagine like going in for a small part, being new to the industry And then having to
And some big name is there that you have to act
and you have
across
to
from.
act with. Like it's not just that you're performing in front of him, but that you're performing alongside him for your role.
Talk about stage fright.
Yeah. And Skull Rose Gaming in chat says that they read an article about how the post to Chadwick's Instagram is like the world record for most liked or shared post. So
Oh wow. I mean, like the official statements coming from his pages are just really phenomenal in general. I mean, they're very straightforward to the point, but it's also good to know, like, also like on a plus note too. I mean, he did pass away in his home with his wife and family. So
Right.
I mean, that's normally when a celebrity dies, it's always something crazy, like car accident, helicopter,
Overdose of
OD,
some sort.
Something kind of out there. Whereas, fortunately, Chadwick got to be with his friends and family. There,
especially in like this COVID time, like that's definitely one of those things that just being able to be with your family for those moments, I'm sure was like a good encouragement. And so,
but yeah.
Oh, so the thing that Skull Rose Gaming was talking about is that the tweet is the most liked in Twitter history.
Oh, the tweet is?
Yes. So,
interesting.
Yeah.
So how many likes does it have?
I'm sorry, but we're going to probably have a press conference from our current president saying he has the most liked tweet in all Twitter history.
Let me see. As of when this article, it was at like 5 million, I think, before the ad or the thing that gets mad if you have ad blocker stopped me. So
currently has 7.5 million.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah. And 3.1 million retweets.
Yeah.
I just remember my phone blowing up. I was like, I don't know what's going on. And I continued working. And I got off, I was like, what? Well, like I was only seeing like segments and it wasn't loading like anything specific. So I had to like go on a hunt to figure out what was happening because this just said like people were like RIP and all these things, but I wasn't showing any names. I was like, who died?
Yeah. And guess with that, again, I encourage everybody to go check out the tributes that people have done for Chadwick. And just because we're going to move on right now, if you want to talk about it more, of course, you can come hop in the Discord. We'll be happy to talk about, I guess, what his roles have meant to you there. And so we also got news about HBO Max reuniting Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
So last week we talked about how Will Smith is jumping on board and starting the production of the dark, gritty adaptation of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And then this week we got news that HBO Max is set to reunite Will Smith and the cast of the actual Fresh Prince of Bel-Air for a special in honor of the show's 30th anniversary. And I know someone doesn't want us dating anything anymore, but obviously. But yeah, they are set to record on September 10th, which is the official 30th anniversary of the series from when it first debuted on NBC.
Yet another show I have never seen. I know.
I feel like you and I are the opposite on that. We're like, there's a bunch of like random shows that I've watched.
Keep in mind, this show is older than I am.
I mean, this is older than
I mean,
by 5 years.
I mean, true, but I mean, I'm pretty sure reruns were running all the time.
Yeah, that's how I watched it.
Yeah, we didn't own a TV in my house until I was 5 years old.
But it's
and
a
even
Fresh
then,
Prince.
That'll do it.
Bonnie.
we had very limited access to TV.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to
We
find
were
a place
not a
to
big
stream
TV
it for
family.
you.
I'm sure I could find it if I did some research, but
I mean, it's definitely a must. Like, I don't think you necessarily need to watch all of it. I mean, it's a 90s sitcom, so I mean, if you watch just the important episodes, you'll get a good feel for it. But the show as a whole, I mean, it's just really good. I mean, and also just representation in the show in general.
Yeah.
I mean, they do tackle some very direct social issues that they interact and as they interact with their things. But I mean, like in general, you have a wealthy Black family being portrayed as as pillars of their community, which is just so uncommon and is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Chunk the Hut says all 6 seasons are on HBO Max.
Which would explain why they're probably hosting the 30th anniversary episode.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it all ties together.
But I think you need to, I would say watch all of them before watching the final episode.
I'll watch the final episode first.
No, please don't. Like, I feel like that would just ruin any impact that final episode has.
Yeah, it's one of those shows for me that I've seen a lot of it through reruns, but I also wouldn't be surprised if I'd only seen like 5 episodes. And I just saw those like 5 episodes multiple times because of how reruns work.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's so good.
Reruns are so weird.
And it's what brought us Will Smith. Like this is the start of his career in this show. And we also get the Carlton. So we're getting a lot of new Fresh Prince. We get the dark, gritty drama and the 30th anniversary special.
All the fun stuff, huh?
Yep.
Chris, do you know what this means?
Not yet. I forgot to mention one thing in movies and entertainment.
Okay, go for
Almost there. So one thing also coming from Netflix, Netflix is working on another original coming from yet another video game series. We officially got news of a Netflix original live action Resident Evil TV series.
Oh, right.
Oh, I saw this. I don't know how to feel about it.
I think this is probably one of the best video game adaptations ever. Just because
I also have never played the games, but I've like watched Let's Plays of the games, so I don't know if that counts in any way, shape, or form.
It counts for me. I count it.
I have some sort of exposure to them, unlike the Last of Us.
Evil, like in general, have always been just great games. I mean, I definitely was too young to start playing these when I did. That's the story for most of my gaming experience. It's like, I definitely was playing that before I should have been. But it's a zombie apocalypse movie. So, I mean, like you have so much filmography experience to pull from and generating this, and like in general, like it shouldn't be that hard to adapt. So
tell that to the movies that they made.
I mean, it's not an anime, so
I meant the other Resident Evil movies, not Netflix.
Yeah.
Grant, what are you dissing on the Resident Evil movies?
All of them.
Yes.
How many Resident Evil movies were there?
A lot.
Too many.
I just know there was a bunch. Looks like at least 6.
I love the Resident Evil movies. Not gonna lie, I think they are probably some of the most accurate, like outside of the super high tech underground facilities and everything. But they offer the best explanation for how you get into a zombie apocalypse. And I honestly think that the Resident Evil movies, I will say, aren't bad. Like I think Mia Jovovich did a phenomenal job playing Alice, and like,
So looking at the ratings, there are definitely those movies that are not great, but people love.
Yeah.
So like according to Wikipedia, over the course of the 6 movies, the total production budget was $288 million. And then the
Okay.
6 movies made 1.2 billion worldwide.
Yeah.
And
So
so-
they did pretty well.
Yeah.
All
And the
things
highest
considered.
Metacritic is the Resident Evil, the final chapter, with a 49.
I mean, the first Resident Evil came in what, 02? I would have been like
02,
11
yeah.
or 12. Definitely. But at the same time, they weren't going to card you at the theater despite its ratings. Pretty sure it's R, right? I don't know. Maybe it's
I would
not.
guess.
Maybe it's PG-13. But I remember going to the movie theater to see these with my friends and packing sodas in our backpack at the Gaslight Theater, which is no longer a theater in
Yeah.
Helena. Like, also just dating myself. It's just like, oh. Walking downtown into the 3-screen theater, I think, at the time, which is now the base camp here in Helena, just to put that in perspective for you
Ooh.
about where that it was.
Yeah. Does give me a perspective.
And not getting carded, yeah. Not asking, they just like sold us the tickets. Let us go.
Small town.
And then and then they wonder why there's and then they're like, oh, we should actually have rating, like
Yeah.
enforce rating for review instead of just letting these this group of 11 and 12-year-olds come see this
Random street youth.
rated R movie.
Talk about nightmares for weeks.
I didn't have any. I just didn't sleep.
Yeah.
You stay up.
No wonder.
You don't sleep, you don't have nightmares.
With that, let's jump into our favorite named segment.
Dongle news.
Chris, what do you got for us this week?
There's actually quite a bit going on, but mostly just like official announcements of laptops happening in the tech world. I mean, we could mention that Tesla stocks shot through the roof, and they're actually getting ready to do what Apple's ready to do and splitting those stocks. They're doing a 5-for-1. So essentially, they're going to depreciate, or a single stock will now be valued to encourage younger investors. But anyone that does own stocks will be gifted 5 as a result. But the important news that came out is, granted, so a few weeks ago, TikTok announced their creator platform, which is creating a monetization for creators to ultimately potentially earn some money.
It also dramatically decreases the number of views that you get on your page when you sign up for it.
I mean, I don't know anything about that, so
I do.
I just
because
watch
spend a
TikToks, okay?
decent amount of time making my own TikToks, but
We've talked about TikTok. I mean, TikTok is a really cool platform, and I understand that possibly, but I mean, that's bound to happen where their algorithm's going to weigh non-participants, ones that aren't going to cost them money. Because in general, the only time I see ads on TikTok are when I first open the app.
Yeah.
They would have to fix that, to fix their algorithm to fully allow their creators to make sure they're getting the views as well, would be to increase ad timing, which would hurt the app overall. So I'm not sure how I have mixed feelings. But this week they are also announcing a partnership with Teespring so that creators can directly sell merchandise through their app. So that's kind of cool, because merchandise is truly where you make your money.
Right.
yeah.
Which is what we need to work on. So, I mean, on the plus note, if we jump on TikTok, we'll be able to start making and generating merchandise and just sell it through there. But we'd have to go through Teespring. Maybe that sways your mind a little for what platform you want to use to design our t-shirts. I don't know. But I mean, this is a way for them to supplement outside of just the per view ad revenue on TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
So ultimately, now you can probably opt out to make sure you can maintain your views, and if you're focusing on merchandise, that you don't even have to stock and ship because it's Teespring. I mean, that is a wonderful option for TikTok creators.
Sounds good. It's time for the tangibles.
Tangibles.
Talk about board games, card games, Magic the Gathering, D&D, that type of stuff. Past couple weeks, we haven't really had a ton for this section, but we're going to kind of do a quick run through of a couple things. We received the official announcement of the cards that are going to be in the Magic the Gathering product, Commander Collection Green, which is a collection of green cards that are good for people that play Commander and would like a collection. Whoa.
And we should also say, like, there's some standard Commander staples with green-specific alternate arts.
Yeah, like Soul Ring and Command Tower.
And I love this because I want them. Obviously, I want them. I need more like good alt art Soul Rings in general. And so, like, similar to these are, I'm assuming from what we know of this set, essentially these are going to be like the archive books, or like the book of spell books. So the Jay spell book, the Gideon spell book, in that you get a pack. One of the cards is a foil, but all the cards in the pack are the same regardless. So one of the and the cards coming out in this, like, this is a pretty valuable pack. So obviously we have Alt Art Command Tower Soul Ring. We get the original green Planeswalker Commander Freyalise Llanowar's Fury, Bane of Progress, Omnath Locus of Mana, Sylvan Library, and Worldly Tutor, all of which I want. I mean, and Seedborn Muse. I love Seedborn Muse. Seedborn Muse is OP. But like just seeing some of the alt arts on these and getting one of these in foil would be phenomenal, and bound to be a pretty, I'm sure, depending on how much you're able to purchase this for, whether or not your game store sells above MSRP or not, which there's no technical MSRP, I guess.
Right? They just don't make it public.
Right. That you should, the value out of this pack is going to be worth the cost of the book or of the collection. So I'm looking for this. Also, the release date set to be December 4th. Got delayed.
Just in time for Christmas, though.
Yeah.
It's true that.
Some other Magic news that we'll kind of breeze through because we'll talk about it more later. We got some of the initial cards for Commander Legends, which is a draft format built around the Commander format. And then we also have received the first two spoilers for Zendikar Rising with official spoilers starting tomorrow. So I anticipate in a couple weeks, once all that's through, we'll have a Chris and I going through our top 10 cards from that.
I also just like how spoiler seasons get spoilers to spoil, like, to hype up spoiler season.
Yeah.
Now
we really want you to pay attention. So here we are teasing spoiler season.
Like before, you used to have like for the spoilers, it just go to these, mostly like YouTube creators or, and then eventually it's just like, okay, Instagram influencers are getting these, and then and it just gradually overflow. And now they're just like, hey, here's a couple teasers to hype you up for spoiler season.
Then as we transition, there has also been a teaser for a Zendikar Rising D&D setting that came out through Wizards of the Coast social medias. And then I guess about a week ago, we got the announcement of the new D&D source book, which is Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, which will be adding new subclasses. It'll change up how character creation works. It'll add a group patron. So now an example that they give is you can be part of like the same crime syndicate. So you could actually have like benefits based on being a team that works for this organization. So that's pretty cool. You can also get magical tattoos now. And then it'll have a set of puzzles. And so it seems like a whole lot of cool stuff that'll be for character customization. I think I saw that it's adding 22 new subclasses.
Wow.
So that's a lot of options.
That's a lot of new subclasses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so there's a channel that I follow that they went through the list based on the unearthed arcanas that we've had. And he made a list of the 22 that he thought it was. And so there's a lot, and it's really exciting.
Can we just talk about that alt cover too?
Yeah, that alt cover is very nice. We'll throw a link in the article, or a link to the show notes, in the show notes to the article. There we go, got there. But that alt art is very cool.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I'm essentially gonna be spending $100 because odds are I'm gonna buy the D&D Beyond compendium, and I've got to get that alt art.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Double buy everything.
Double buy everything.
That makes sense, right?
I honestly think like your physical book should come with an online discount code at the very least.
I agree.
Yeah.
But you know, I don't work for Wizards, and they won't listen to us yet. So
Yeah, I stand that way with most things. Where if you buy the physical, you should get a discount on the digital. If not the digital, for free.
right, either it's
Yeah.
for free or you get a. I mean, I think because of how large they're and it's a play system. I mean, I'm very pro just at least a discount. Like, hey, unlock now your online access for $10 versus repurchase your online access for the whole price.
Yeah.
From here, we're going to go to our not very often used miscellaneous segment. And we're going to kind of use this as time for some cool announcements. First off, again, post-show chat, The Last of Us Part 2. Not quite spoiler chat, but there will be spoilers.
Yeah.
Then I'll be streaming Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of this week. Come hang out, chat. If you have Fall Guys and I'm playing Fall Guys, come hop in. And then the last announcement is that we're looking to do some spin-off shows, and we're ready to announce what the first one is as well as the date. And that is that we are going to be doing a book club once a month. Right now we're looking at the last Thursday of the month is what we're talking about. So things might still shift around a little bit. But we will be putting out a poll to pick the book. And right now, I think the main options that we're looking at, I don't know why I struggled with the word options, but the main
Choices.
Yes,
the four main choices.
Yes, that we're looking at are Alice in Wonderland, the original book, and then Sherlock Holmes. And so I think those are the two that we're discussing. Some other
I'm going to
options
intentionally read the wrong one by accident.
that's the most Chris thing.
Intentionally on accident.
It's like, I mean, I read Sherlock Holmes, but I don't think it's the right version.
Right. We're also talking about Around the World in 80 Days and Treasure Island at some point. And we have some other ideas that we're working around with. But we're really excited for book club. Which Sherlock? I believe it'll be the original Sherlock.
Conan Doyle's.
And the reason that we're specifically looking at that set is that they're free online. And so we'll be putting out links to those so people can go and get a copy for free because they're public domain. And so, yeah, so we're really excited about that. Like I said, targeting September 24th as our first book club. But and I guess with that, let's get to our top 3 of this week. We're doing our top 3 cars, and I struggled with this way more than I thought I would.
I mean, you could have just like picked the first fantasy cars that popped into your head.
The problem is I kept thinking of like bikes. So I went like Tron Light Cycle, and I was like, that's not a car.
I mean, there is a car in Tron, though.
Right.
They have a
but,
side-by-side. That would count.
Not quite the
Debatable.
same, but like I'm all up for like bending the rules and all that, but that was a little too much for me for this one. But
Why bet all the
top 3
rules?
cars. How about what?
I bet all the rules.
I mean, we have said multiple times that the rules don't matter and just do you. But so we're doing top 3 cars again this week. We did not get a ton of social media replies. We got a ton of likes. We really appreciate likes, appreciate retweets. People got to let us know their favorite cars. So
we need
if
the
you're
comments.
Yes, so if people are in chat, you want to hit us up with your favorite cars. We'll talk about them as we cycle through. So, Emma, why don't you start us off with your favorite car? Or a top 3 car, I guess.
I may or may not have gone with the TARDIS. Even though it's not technically a car, it is still a transportation device, and it is the Doctor's baby. So I went with the TARDIS.
That's the biggest stretch of the rules I've ever seen.
I mean, you can correct me because you're a much bigger Doctor Who fan than I am. But like the TARDIS also could be any shaped.
Yes.
It just appears as a phone booth or the police
That's
box,
because
not
the
phone booth.
chameleon circuit is
Right.
broken, but he just liked the police box enough that I just didn't bother to fix it. So yes, it could be
Right.
a car. It
So-
just isn't because it's broken.
But it doesn't travel along a standard plane.
But it could,
Could
if
it?
it were a
Could it?
car.
Could it, or does
I mean,
it just move through space and time?
It can hover, right? Like it can
Yeah.
hover and fly normally.
Yeah.
So
I
There
mean,
has
essentially
been
it
it, like,
hovers by
flying through
staying
the
in
air.
place. It stays in a singular place in space and time. That's how it hovers.
I
But
mean,
And then when it
been
moves,
seen
for it
flying
to
through the
move.
air and all that fun stuff. So, nonetheless, that is my first choice, and it will remain my first choice because that is who I am, and I would love to have a TARDIS if I could. But alas, we cannot harness the power of a dying star and
alas.
turn it into time travel. So,
With that, Chris, what you got?
My first car is just the epitome of cars in general. The Mach 5 from Speed Racer.
Good choice.
Like just growing up, this is what I thought every sports car should look like and should have all the features of. I want that oil slick. I want that spikes, those spikes coming out of the tire. I want the ability to drive on the side of a cliff face.
because that's logical and feasible, right?
Hey, as long as you go fast enough.
If you're going fast enough, it doesn't matter. Especially if you have spikes, you got that extra traction on that cliff face. You know me? Know me?
No, I don't. I'm not a car person. But okay.
You know, it's just, you know, when I think of my childhood and I think about cars I loved, Mach 5 takes it every time. I had the Hot Wheels car version. It's probably one of the it's one anime that just doesn't hold up probably. Live action was but the car itself, the Mach 5 is just mwah. That's the sports car of my dreams.
For me, my first pick is the Batmobile, specifically from Batman the Animated Series. And so this is the one that, like, in my head is the Batmobile that I think of that first comes to mind. It was like my I guess my like introduction to Batman. It's very much that like first impression that I have. And so I also had the toys of it, and like it was awesome. You could put your action figure in the car and all that kind of stuff. And so yeah, so Batmobile, specifically Batman the Animated Series.
My next one would be the Magic School Bus.
Oh, how did I not think of the Magic School Bus? That's such a good option.
Yeah. Because who doesn't love the Magic School Bus? I
There you
mean,
So
Miss
upset.
Frizzle was like one of the coolest people to me when I was a kid. And I thought the bus was awesome. And I wanted to ride the bus every single time I watched a Magic School Bus show. So,
Such a good choice.
yeah, that's my next choice because
Netflix idea. Live action.
no,
The Magic School Bus.
absolutely not. Talk about failing
Yes.
horribly.
Or it's so bad that it's good.
No.
Like, I feel like that's one translation that I would watch regardless.
That is a show that is not meant to be live action at all.
But maybe that's what makes the live action so great.
Just no.
Also, shout out to the fact that at the end of every episode, they had a like questions that we get asked, like are questions from listeners, and like little kid
Yeah.
Cameron wasn't smart enough to figure out that you couldn't just send in like that they'd already made it. So like those questions were clearly just things that they were worried about kids wouldn't get.
Yeah.
Like, and so like I was like, man, it sure is cool that they like people send in letters and they're able to answer them at the end of the episode. No, Cameron,
No.
that's not how it works.
No.
Oh,
It's
man.
just them being nice to their audience.
Yes.
But also encourage fan letters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My next car is Eleanor, or a 1967 Shelby Mustang GT 500. Oh yeah. I think Gone in 60 Seconds is probably one of the better car movies ever made. Granted, it's all about stealing them. But that 1967 Mustang is the epitome. Also, Shelby's track record with cars in general, how he approached his car, or essentially getting cars to a racing level. Also, history of the Ford Mustang in general, starting in 1964, is just phenomenal. And you know, the original Mustang body style is still one of my original favorites. Even transitioning to the 1967 Ford Mustang Fastback from Tokyo Drift, that they drop in a inline 6-cylinder and turn it into a drift car. Completely unfeasible, but also one of my favorite scenes from a car movie. So 1967 Ford Mustang, either the Eleanor from Gone in 60 Seconds, or even the Drift Mustang from Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift. Boom.
Now, Chris, those are pretty nice cars, but they can't keep up with my next one, which is the Mystery Machine from Scooby-Doo.
Yes.
So, shout out to the best like crime solving group ever, and especially the Mystery Machine. I love whenever like you see pictures of people with like the actual like vans painted as the Mystery Machine. Like it's just I just love it. It's one of those that like very much stands out, probably in like the not best way, but like
Seriously.
just like the bright obnoxious colors. I just love it. And it very much hits that idea from like Scooby-Doo, where they're not here to like solve like mysteries sneakily.
No.
Like they are announcing that they're catching the bad guy. Like
in every way possible.
yes. And so that's
the primary way they catch the bad guys is by getting caught by the bad guys, kind of getting out of the situation, and then happenstancely causing a big enough mess and accidentally catching them.
Right. But when you're rated like Y7, the bad guys can't do anything bad to you. So like
no. They really can't. They just have to cause issues for the town. Yeah. My last choice is Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Because Chitty Chitty Bang Bang can fly and fight off pirates and child nappers and make candy whistles and sing songs.
Yeah.
And be friends with Dick Van Dyke. So that's my last choice.
Very nice.
Yeah. That's a movie I grew up watching.
I feel like I need to rewatch it because
It's
I've not
it's a
seen
good
it
movie.
in a long time.
Yeah. I grew up watching a lot of older movies, so yeah.
And since Cameron mentioned the Batmobile, I've picked the Tumbler from the Christopher Nolan Batman series because that thing's just awesome.
Yeah.
In general, like just how they chose to use that design for the Batmobile, ultimately, you know, and I mean, it's actually a feasible, functional vehicle. Obviously, they have to embellish some of the capabilities. like the eject into a bike feature.
Yes.
But that is probably far. That's the main reason I'm picking this, is because it's also part bike. And yeah, and it was just instead of it being this flashy thing, it's full utility, which is something that we hadn't really necessarily seen from the Batmobile before. And it's just it's a feasible Batmobile. Doesn't need that inline 12-cylinder.
Yeah. My last one is also a very reasonable car, and that's the Pontiac Fiero, which is Marshall Erickson's car from How I Met Your Mother, which notoriously hits 200,000 miles or promptly dies at like 100,000 or like 1 mile short of
998 miles or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Like 1 or 2 miles short of 200,000 miles. Great episode. And we get I think this is the introduction of I Would Walk 500 Miles to How I Met Your Mother. And so, which is one of my favorite like running gags throughout the show, because the tape is stuck on that song. And so it only plays it. And we get Marshall and Ted driving cross country, listening to
that song
over and over and over again.
And over and over.
And so, again, such a great like car, has a lot of fun gags. Oh, so good. But as some top cars from chat, we got the DeLorean from Back to the Future, as well as the Batmobile from the Michael Keaton version from Chunk the Hut. Queen Skywalker 79 has the 1967 Chevy Impala from Supernatural, Dean's baby.
Because we haven't talked about for the past 3 weeks that specific car.
Might have been the inspiration for the question. We also got some shout outs from Magic School Bus.
Woo!
And some other shout outs to cool 1960s cars. Yeah. And so thank you everyone in chat. We had the Jurassic Park Jeep from Skull Rose Gaming.
Yes.
Which is a great one as well. And so, and Queen Skywalker 79. I didn't see that one above it. And so thank you everyone. Like I said, if you want to discuss your top 3 cars, you can do that over on our social media or over in our Discord, which we'll go through our links for those in a second. But the last thing that we have for this week is to talk about next week's top 3. And that is going to be our top 3 events you wish you could have witnessed in person. They can be fictional or real events. So to be present in a specific moment from your favorite fandom or a favorite like historical moment. Yeah. I'm excited.
Me too.
So with that, like I said, we'll have a quick, at this point, relatively quick, The Last of Us Part 2 discussion because it's getting late for Cameron. But before we get into that, listeners, as always, you can find us on our social media. We are One Geek 411 on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and our PlayStation community. You can also join our Discord and then check out our send us an email at 1stgeek411@gmail.com. Then you can watch live on Twitch Monday nights at 7:15 Mountain Time, and then check out our videos over on our YouTube. If you're a podcast listener, you can rate and subscribe on Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. And you can check out our show notes on our website, onegeek411.com, where you can find all of our sister podcast episodes. They are Faith, Trust, and Pixie Dust. And if you want to connect with us personally, you can do that on our personal social medias. Mine is Humar Whittle.
Mine is I Am Not Prepared with an I on pretty much every platform.
I'm not so foreign. Wash your hands.
I love you.
Have a good week.